right, we've got some juicy rumors to talk about, but when I say juicy rumors, I am taking stuff that you guys have been getting down in the comments section with, and I'm turning this into an episode. So consider this an episode by the Falcons fans, for the Falcons fans, hosted by a Falcons fan. Welcome in, Falcons fans, to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and on today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about Divine Deablo's injury update, which is actually news. But we'll talk a little bit about some replacement options for him because he's going to miss some time. Kirk Cousins watch. Is Kirk going to end up getting the start over Michael Penix Jr. against the Dolphins? And then some life from Kyle Pitts. Has he turned it on to the point where he deserves that next contract? We will talk about it. Now, let's start with, of course, the news portion of this show. Divine Deablo has a fracture in his forearm. We got this update from multiple Falcons reporters. And Penix also has a bone bruise in his ankle. Those are the two major updates that you need to know. We're going to focus specifically, though, on Divine Deablo because, as unfortunate as this is, he's going to miss some time. Now, before I get into that, we're not quite where we want to be. Now, granted, we did not have a game early in October, so that's part of the reason we're not at our like numbers. But if you love what we're doing, if you love daily videos, if you love fresh, entertaining, engaging content surrounding the Dirty Birds, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's start with Divine Deablo as a player on the Falcons in 2025. As a whole, if you go back to 2021 through 2024, he was considered literally kind of just like a middle linebacker. I mean, that's kind of his entire reputation on the Raiders. He's like, yeah, he's okay. He's not great, but, you know, he plays for the Raiders. So everybody kind of falls into this, like, nobody cares about the Raiders. But since joining the Falcons, where he has the ability to shine as the star middle linebacker alongside Caden Ellis, he has really been playing like the best Falcons defender. Him and Xavier Watts. Those are the two guys on this team that are just like home runs this year. And I'm going to say it right now. I know tons of fans were, saying the exact same thing that I am. JD Bertrand is too small. Watching him play in the game yesterday, there is a noticeable size difference, not just from Bertrand to Divine Deablo, but it's just noticeable at the position. I mean, he's just not big enough. He's 6'1", 233. And I think that's kind of generous. I would say it's more like 6'1.5", 229, 228. That is not the size of an inside linebacker. You need to be 6'3", 250, 260 pounds. Now, granted, that part of his game where, he is that 6'1", 233, he is a lot quicker than a lot of other middle linebackers. The problem is what he has in quickness, he lacks in power and conviction to stop the run, which Atlanta has already struggled with this year. So you get a guy that's probably a little bit better in pass coverage versus the run stopping, but that's not what you need because the Falcons against the pass have been sensational this year, one of the best in the league. And if you go back to his game against the 49ers when he came in, he played 57 snaps for Atlanta. He only had 7 tackles. He had a run defensive grade of 60.9, which is whatever. Coverage grade was even worse. And look, he's not going to be a player that is god-awful, but he's not going to give you near the production that Divine Deablo was going to give you. And that's just the sad fact of the matter. So now you have to supplant Divine Deablo by doing a couple of moves. You can either start JD Bertrand, you can either start Josh Woods, and I think everybody knows that he's just a special teams player, or, in my honest opinion, you start Jalen Walker at inside linebacker. Now, granted, Walker might not be as commanding over the middle of the field as Divine Deablo was. He might not be nearly as good in pass coverage as Divine Deablo was, but he is a much more talented football player and can do a whole lot more than JD Bertrand can. And he might be the Band-Aid on the bullet hole that you're looking for at that inside linebacker position. Or that little tiny bottom one down there, that last or, you could shop at the deadline. But I don't know that there's many teams out there that are going to be willing to give up their inside linebacker. Most teams are solidified at that position, and the teams that are looking for him aren't going to get him, if that makes sense. So I view this as you got to start Jalen Walker at least at some snaps at that middle linebacker position. Do me a favor, though. Show some love to Divine Deablo. Type zeros in the comment section. I want to see as many zeros as possible. Let's try to get 300 zeros for our guy, Divine Deablo, because I'm going to be completely honest with you. He's been sensational, and losing him definitely hurts. Now, we're going to talk about the other rumors, including Kirk Cousins. Is it time for him to get the start? Moose is going to say not so fast, my friend, but not because I don't want Kirk Cousins in there, but because I don't think that there is an opportunity that he gets on the field. I'm going to tell you about that and more, but first I got to tell you about our friends over at Factor. Fall is definitely that season where you feel like you just need to kind of refresh. You got to recharge. You know, the kids are going back to school. Your schedule is busier than ever, and that's why finding time to cook can be tough, and that's personally why I love Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. You get more variety and more meals, choosing from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Support your wellness goals with Factor meals. Enjoy even more GLP-friendly meals now and new Mediterranean diet options stacked with protein and good-for-you fats. There is a reason that 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. You can feel the difference no matter what your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 off and use code FalconsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code FalconsChat50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. All right, Kirk, you're up, brother. Well, maybe not. You're up next in this episode. Could Kirk start against the Dolphins in Week 8? I think that is the main question on everybody's mind. Now, whether or not you believe Kirk should start or whether you shouldn't start, it does start with Michael Penix Jr.'s injury. So Raheem Morris said earlier this morning, he's sore, but I feel really good about him. He's as tough as it gets. I cannot wait to see where he is on Wednesday when they go back to practice. They go back and reassess that ankle. I'm assuming that Michael Penix Jr. is going to do everything in his power to play on that injured ankle. Now, again, it is a bone bruise. It's not an ankle injury, so it's more of a pain tolerance issue. Here's what I will tell you. With the type of competitor that Michael Penix Jr. is, with him being a younger quarterback, if he's 75% of what he is or what he usually is, he's going to play. I can guarantee it. Now, does that mean his mobility is going to be limited? Sure. Does that mean that he's got to be even better from the pocket if he does play? Absolutely. But if he is 75% ready to go, he's going to go. And that's not coming from the Moose's mouth. Coaches make these decisions. They attach themselves to younger quarterbacks. They want to establish the belief system. They want to establish that we know, we support, you are our guy. They're not going to take him out unless they absolutely feel they have to. And that's not a performance thing. That is a health thing. And look, I'm not going to front with you. Michael Penix Jr. this year, he's not off to the greatest start statistically. There's moments, like when he played against the Washington Commanders, I thought that was his best game of the season by far, not even close. But then you start to look at some of the other games and against the blitz, and Michael Penix Jr. he's got a lot of growing still to do. I'm still in on the MPJ train. I'm not willing to say that I'm done after just 9 starts, but I think we can all agree that Kirk Cousins right now, at a standpoint of operating the game plan, is probably the best backup in the league, and it wouldn't even be specifically close. Like, just imagine how many teams in the NFL right now Kirk Cousins would start for. I mean, if you took off, like rookie quarterbacks and stuff, he would start for the Browns, he'd start for the Bengals, he'd start for the Vikings, he'd start for the Titans. I could go on and on and on. But Sports Talk Atlanta, who I'm sure your guys are very familiar with, was talking about what would happen if you did put in Kirk Cousins. And here's the hypothetical that they proposed. Kirk Cousins having his moments even last year where he was the Falcons starter. Now, obviously, that shoulder injury didn't do him any favors, but the Dolphins also present a golden opportunity for any quarterback in the NFL to have a big day as their defense is allowing over 360 yards and nearly 30 points a game. It's booty cheeks over there. They have a terrible secondary. So imagine a scenario where Penix is on the sideline resting that foot, and Cousins steps in to throw for 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns in front of the home crowd at the Benz. The offense looks better, and then what kind of questions do you ask after the game? It would be a media frenzy. There would be so many. Start Kirk Cousins. Bench Michael Penix Jr. He's not ready. We got to dump off of Michael Penix Jr. And I'm like, dude, I don't need that. Not surrounding my team. Not for one win over the Miami Dolphins. Does that mean that I'm saying I don't want Kirk to play? Again, I think this is speculative. I think it's also situationally based. I only want Kirk to play if Michael Penix Jr. is not confident that he can give you a good performance on that injured foot. But if we go through their first 9 games as Atlanta Falcons, it's clear that Kirk Cousins has put up better numbers. There's no doubt about it. However, it's also not really a truly fair comparison because I've seen a ton of different Falcons fans getting down there going, well, Kirk is so much better than Michael Penix is at this point. Well, I mean, Kirk Cousins has what, 100 starts? 100 more starts than Michael Penix Jr.? I don't think you can really compare an NFL veteran to an NFL rookie. And also, to defend Kirk a little bit here, you can't really make this comparison either because of the injury as well. So it goes both ways. You can't compare Michael Penix Jr. to Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins has so many more starts, right? But you can't compare the final part of Kirk Cousins' season because of the shoulder injury. So it's kind of like stuck in the middle somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where to go with it. All I know is if Michael Penix Jr. is 75%, he's going. If he's not, then you're going to see Kirk Cousins. Either way, I want the Falcons to beat the Dolphins. That's what I know. Should the Falcons start Kirk Chains? I feel like this is an appropriate question to ask all of you. Type S for start, type B for bench. I know what I'm going to see down there, but you let me know in the comments section down below. Let's end out today's show briefly by talking about tight end 1, Kyle Pitts, who I thought played his very best game of the 2025 season against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I did see one comment that said, on what planet is 7 receptions for 62 yards now the barometer for success for an NFL tight end? And look, if you're looking at it from a bird's eye view, it's not. But if you watch the game, Kyle Pitts was far better than his numbers indicate. I thought this was interesting from Taryn Wack. Shout out to the name Taryn. It's my sister's name. Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts recorded 7 receptions for 62 yards against the 49ers. His 25th career game with at least 50 receiving yards. That's tied for 5th most in the NFL among tight ends since Pitts was drafted. So, look, Kyle Pitts is kind of an enigma when it comes to himself as a player. We don't really know what Kyle Pitts is outside of he has moments, right? Sometimes he disappears, sometimes he looks great. But they were asking Kyle Pitts about what he viewed the 2025 season kind of like, and here's what he said. I would say we're still going. No expectations have been set that I want to necessarily say to the public, but just trying to put in good things on tape each and every single week and the best that I can be to assist Mike and this offense. So clearly he knows that the contract is coming, and that's going to be something in the offseason that he definitely starts to let this front office know about. Here's what I will also admit. Pitts won't ever be what we thought he would be. If you were thinking that he was going to be Travis Kelce, he's not that guy. If he was going to be Antonio Gates or Tony Gonzalez, he's not that guy. But what he does offer you is stability at the position. It's never great. It's never awful. It's always just somewhere in the middle. And when he stays healthy, that's what you're getting. You're getting kind of that middle tier production. Now this year, we're not looking at his 2025 stats yet, but if we do look at his 2025 stats, he is on pace to have one of his better seasons. He's already at 285 yards receiving. If we're going based off of the law of averages, if he gets another, we'll call it 40 yards next game, he's over 300, and then boom, you're right back in the conversation of, are you around 600 or 700 yards receiving? And the answer is yes. He needs to find the end zone more, but when it comes to NFL tight ends, he kind of falls like right in that middle tier again. Juwan Johnson, 38 receptions, 315. Then there's Kyle Pitts, Dalton Schultz, Sam Laporta. I mean, all 4 of these guys fall in that middling, you're a starting caliber tight end 1, but you're never going to be that higher upper echelon of the Travis Kelce's, of the Brock Bowers, or anything of the like. But we don't necessarily need that right now. I think you need another weapon. I think you do need like another wide receiver to complement with Drake London, and it's not Bijan Robinson. Darnell Mooney is still fighting injuries. So as of right now, if you asked Moose today, what are you doing with Kyle Pitts? I'd franchise tag him. Makes him a little bit more money next year. I get it. It's not nearly what you want to hear as a player, but if I'm doing what's in the best interest of the Atlanta Falcons, I'm placing the franchise tag on him. He makes a little bit more money, and you just ride it out for 1 more year. See what he's got. See if he can give you another season of top tier or higher quality production. And if you support this play, if you're thinking that Kyle Pitts has looked good this year, which there's no doubt he has, it's not been great, but it's been good, like today's video if you want that play to continue. And that is how we are going to end out today's episode. A reminder to hit that subscribe button. Like today's video to support Kyle Pitts and this team as a whole. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up and be cool.